Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Wadz, episode 2 of the podcast. We're bringing in hot. We're talking all things soccer, football, whatever you want to call it, and we're here for it. We are live. We're in the studio right now. That's not really a studio, and we're ready. Tilly, let's start it off with you. What do you want to talk about this week?
Well, first, I just gotta say, what an intro! Exciting, bringing the energy.
Thank you.
Love to see it. Love to see it. Well, we're gonna start where we probably always will start. The Premier League. Let's go right to it. Now, there was a lot of games, just like always. There's 10 games. We're recording this on Sunday night, so we're not going to be able to talk about the Tottenham Chelsea game. Maybe we'll add it if it gets added to the end of the program. Ignore this part, but if it doesn't, don't be surprised. But yeah,
Small
I mean,
clubs.
yeah, that's well, yeah, they're both small clubs. Yeah, we're an Arsenal Man U fan, right? Gotta call them small clubs. Well, let's jump right into the Fulham Man U fan. You are a Man U fan, which is, I think, the only reason why we would talk about this game, because man, was it a snooze fest.
Yeah. Definitely was a snooze fest. You kind of gotta be grateful for that last minute goal. Not really much to talk about, in my opinion. I know that Ten Hag's job is safe, at least now, for sure. But yeah, nothing really I want to talk about on that one. Just glad we were able to walk away with 3 points. So yeah, that's all I can add for.
It was a boring game. Both teams were pretty inept in open play. Both were dangerous on set pieces. Piece of quality from the captain.
Yeah.
Move on. Get the hell out of there. Good win. All right, next game, Brentford, West Ham. That was a very entertaining game. That was a 3-2 thriller. Both of us had that prediction wrong. I know we'll talk about that later towards the end of the episode, but it was a very entertaining game. There's a few key points that I want to talk about. Number one, wow, Kudus had an amazing strike. I couldn't tell if it was quite a bicycle kick or a side volley just from the few times I watched it. We got a lot of games, a lot of things that we try to watch at least the highlights of every game. So we go through a lot of stuff for you guys, and that's one I can't remember off the top of my head if it was spike or a volley, but truly a great strike.
That's all that matters.
He was instrumental in the second goal, and they should have been instrumental in a third goal in which Mikel Antonio really should have let his teammate get that shot.
Yep.
And then they paid for it. Their defense was weak. Brentford had some really good crosses, and they came out of there with the home win. West Ham played really well against Arsenal in the midweek. I don't think that the scoreline reflected quite how the game was. I think a 3-1 was a little bit over. I think 3-1 was a little bit over the top, honestly. I'm an Arsenal fan. Maybe I'm biased, but I didn't feel like West Ham deserved 3 goals in that game. And honestly, they've got Europe. We'll see how they do long term, but their league form at least hasn't been amazing. They've been decent in European competition, and they've been good in the Carabao Cup. But their league performance recently hasn't been good. They've been sliding, so something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, for sure. Something to definitely keep an eye on. The next game, the Man City versus Bournemouth game. All I can say from that one, yes, snooze fest, as City just demolished Bournemouth. And obviously, one of the notable things was the Jeremy Doku with 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 goal contributions out of the 6, which is obviously amazing. Really world class from him. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
No, but we can move on from that.
Yeah, world class for real.
Sheffield United Wolves. That was an entertaining game. That actually has a lot to talk about. Sheffield United, a team that I said was the worst team I've ever seen in my lifetime in the Premier League, got their first win, and boy, did they not deserve it. Yeah, I mean, they got a 2-1 win at home. Sometimes you just need the luck. And Sheffield United's been a team that I don't feel has got the luck. They also haven't deserved luck. Wolves has been unlucky, though, this entire year, and that does not change. 70, I think it was the 71st minute or 72nd minute. Wolves bad clearance, but the ball ricochets off of a Sheffield United player, goes right into the path of Cameron Archer sprinting forward, long range shot, bar down, and in. Like, super unfortunate goal to give up if you're
Yeah.
Wolves, but it is what it is, right? Then you go back, you push, you get a goal back. You think, okay, maybe let's get a second one. Let's, at the very least, we got a point. And then, honestly, a weak penalty, very weak penalty to concede. I can't remember the name of the player they brought on off the top of my head. It's another Portuguese guy. They're all Portuguese, but it was really bad. I think it was Fabio Silva. I think that was the name of the guy who got. Yeah, Fabio Silva. Really poor showing from him. Got a yellow card in the 10 seconds after he came on. Gave up the game-winning penalty, but that penalty was soft. Player looked like he was going down. I couldn't clearly tell if he hit the Bournemouth, or sorry, I couldn't clearly tell if Silva hit the Sheffield United player's foot or if he hit the ground. Last minute of the game, it was, I think, the second to last kick in the game. They got a penalty. Tough way to go out for Wolves, but good first win for Sheffield. You got to get points. And, have one win and one draw, and they're only 2 points back of safety.
Yeah, honestly, poor performance in my opinion from Wolves. Just not the best. But like you said, they've been really unlucky this year, especially in my opinion with that call as well for the penalty. I thought it was a little weak, but then again, it is what it is. You'll have some of those go against you and some for you. So it's just how the cookie crumbles. We'll get more into VAR later, I assume.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. We're gonna talk about VAR. You can probably tell by my Arsenal persuasion, not good things.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was. I don't know about deserving win from Sheffield. Lucky win, like you said, but a win is a
Sometimes
win.
that's what you need, though. Sometimes you just got to get one of those. We'll see if they can, if that win spurs them on. They've had a lot of close calls. I don't necessarily want to see Sheffield survive. I just don't think that they're not a team that I think would last anyways. But we'll see if they do. There's 4 really bad teams right now. One of them's going to survive. The others are going to go down. We'll see which one it is.
Yeah, for sure. Right, Burnley versus Crystal Palace. 2-0 to Crystal Palace. I thought it was a really good game from Crystal Palace. Everything was firing for them. The Burnley side is going to struggle, obviously, like they always have this year. And I think it just solidified Crystal Palace as a mid-table club and kind of put Burnley in that relegation zone worry. And yeah, that's what I really took away from it. It was a really good display from Crystal Palace, in my opinion, just solidifying their spot.
They really hit their game plan. They didn't hold that much possession, and they didn't even take that many shots, but they countered really effectively. They defended really well, and Burnley's got to figure out some ways to stop leaking goals, and because they're not going to score every game, but you can't give up due to a mid-table side like at home and expect to survive. It's just not good enough.
Yeah, for sure.
Next up was Everton-Brighton, which I thought was both an interesting game and a very unentertaining game at the same time because Brighton had more possession than Everton, 4-1, 80% to 20%, but they only had 7 shots the entire game to Everton's 10. Just not in, the ball really wasn't in the penalty area that much in either penalty area, and I think a 1-1 result was fair, but just not a super interesting game to watch.
Yeah, I agree. Nothing else really more to say. Excuse me. Sorry about that. But yeah, I agree. Nothing really more to say about that game. I mean, it was also kind of unlucky own goal that gave Brighton the draw, honestly. So I thought Everton were looking pretty good leading up until that. I mean, even though Brighton did have so much of the ball, you didn't really notice that much from it. They didn't really create many chances, which is also a little worrisome. But they got lucky in the end with the own goal. So a little unlucky from Everton that it wasn't own goal. But like we said before, kind of happens as well. You can't really complain about it. And a draw is a draw as well, especially for Everton, which is they'll be happy with that result going to Brighton. and Brighton probably looking for more, especially since they did have so much of the ball.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, we're gonna skip the next game that was on our list is Newcastle Arsenal. We're gonna save that for the end because we're gonna talk a lot about that, and I think it's just let's save it for the end so that way when we're done we can move on from the Premier League. So
Yeah, for
next we're
sure.
gonna go to the games that happened on Sunday. Nottingham Forest at home, pulling off the upset against Aston Villa. Change of keeper, maybe that spurred them on. Return of their striker, maybe that spurred them on. A change of keeper as American fans isn't necessarily what we want to see. But I think just the bigger thing to me was how Aston Villa looked, which was extremely poor. It didn't look like they were up for it today. I don't
Yeah,
I don't know
give me
why.
flashbacks to like how Villa usually looks or has been looking, um, not in form. I mean, they this season they had been in form, but that was a flashback to like last season and a couple seasons ago when they weren't. And I mean, against Nottingham Forest as well, a team that you don't expect to win that game, and then absolutely like honestly destroy you in some of those the shot like taking chances and finishing as well as yeah, like you said, some goalkeeping errors had a factor, but overall, I thought it was very poor from Aston Villa.
Yeah, let's talk about that goalkeeping. I mean, Emiliano Martinez, I think he was fifth in the Yashin rankings, which is the best goalkeeper in the world rankings, and he didn't show it. Let's be honest, he didn't show it this weekend, and you can't expect your goalkeeper to be perfect every single time. But honestly, thought it was two weak goals to concede. The first one was just lazy defending. I don't know what Douglas Luiz is doing there. The ball gets played in front of him. He barely can't reach it. Okay, you can't
It
reach
was
it,
a good
fine.
strike as well, though.
Yeah, but he didn't run out to him. He stopped to try to get in a position to block it, but he just shot it right by him. Like
True.
you have to run out there and pressure him and do something other than just kind of standing there with you and crouching. And that and then I think Martinez could have done better on the dive. I think he was a little slow to react. I don't think he expected it. I think he really didn't expect it, which I don't know how because you see the player running up from 30 yards away trying like I mean it was a good shot, but I think Martinez could have done better there. And then the second goal,
Second goal was all his
really
fault.
poor.
Yeah,
Long shot. He got fooled a little bit on the shot, which if you get fooled a little bit, okay, how do you recover? Recovered
you say
poorly. He dove too early. He he hit the ball with a weak fist, like a weak wrist action. Ball gets some backspin, sputters in front of him, and crawls into the goal. It's just that's a goal. You're down away from home. That's a goal you just can't give up.
you just can't. Yeah, I agree with that. Um, but yeah, a little concerning though. For yeah USMT fans, like you said, with Turner being dropped. Honestly, it could have just been uh, not even tactical, maybe an injury or something like that. Not sure, but honestly,
Well, his
I'm not
manager said it was a tactical decision. There's no like Matt Turner's not injured, which is that's why I personally am very concerned because
hmm,
he dropped him for another keeper and Matt Turner I think is Premier League level, but if the manager doesn't think so, that's what matters.
true. Um, I mean, maybe he'll give him a chance or two more, but other than that, I don't know.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
hopefully he can earn his starting spot back. Funnily enough, Nottingham Forest also has keeper Ethan Horvath, who is the USMNT's second keeper, also on their team. He is the third or fourth keeper. He generally doesn't make the match squad. So, I mean, don't be surprised when you don't see his name if you're looking for him on the Nottingham Forest team sheet. But very concerning. You've got two Americans on that team, and if neither of them are the starter, what are we going to do for Copa America? Because those are our 1 and 2.
Yep,
So if neither of them are getting regular game time before Copa America, it's a little bit concerning.
I agree for sure. We want them to get those rotations and get those reps in as well. Moving on to the last game. I mean, not including the Chelsea Spurs game because it hasn't happened yet while we're recording. But Luton versus Liverpool. Honestly, Luton looked really well, surprisingly. Scored a good goal as well. They just Luton, like nobody would expect them to score a goal, like goals against like these big clubs and everything, but they do. They ended up conceding a 91st minute equalizer, but honestly, it was a good point to get for them. It was a point that nobody was honestly expecting them to get, and yeah, honestly, good for Luton. A little worrisome from Liverpool that they weren't able to capitalize earlier and had to wait so long to equalize, but they did in the end, so they were able to get a point, which puts them off from the top a little bit. But it is what it is.
So they're now 3 points behind, I think, City, and Tottenham is 2 points ahead of them with a game in hand. So
Not horrible, but still easy.
Yeah,
easy drop points though.
Yeah, you have to expect to win against Luton, even though it's away from home. Luton had 5 points coming into that game.
Yeah,
I'll check
crazy.
how many goals they've scored, but they haven't been prolific. They've scored 10 goals. They've conceded 2 goals a game. Like, just not good. And Liverpool were very wasteful in front of goal today. I think it's a day off. We'll see what happens. But I think you gotta try to. That's a game you should win.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
All right.
Do you want
Lastly, the last game that we're going to talk about right now, at least maybe we'll add another game later on, but Newcastle, Arsenal, can't hold off on it any longer. I think I got to start this one off. Man, what a rough way to lose. Just such a rough game honestly, it was a very entertaining game. Both teams were very, yeah. I'm not gonna cry that we didn't win, but I genuinely, I can't remember another time where I've been as mad at a game just watching that. Because I, I'm really trying to find the words here without getting too mad. Like, I'm really upset. Like, Arsenal lost 1-0 away from home, to an Anthony Gordon goal that I don't know how stood. I just don't.
Yeah, I
And
agree with.
we're gonna start earlier in the game. The referee was bad from the get-go. Like, at about the 12th minute, I'd seen the same Dan Burn kicking of Bukayo Saka 3 times in a row, like literally 3 times in 4 minutes. Nothing, and that set the tone for the game. It did. And there was a Saliba, Callum Wilson or Jolinton challenge at the 11th minute. Very good physical clash. It set the tone, and I was really entertained by it. I thought, okay, we're gonna have a really good game here, and it was. It was a very entertaining game until the 70th minute when VAR just was horrible. I want to say a stronger word. I'm not going to, but they were just horrible. And there's so many incidents up until that point. The Kai Havertz challenge. When I first saw that, I was in disbelief. I thought for sure that was going to be a red. I saw a replay of it, and I understand why it's not a red after seeing the replay.
Yeah.
I think if you want to argue that should be a red, I understand why you want to. You're probably wrong because he catches him with the trailing foot. So in the 37th minute, Kai Havertz has a sliding challenge in on, I think it was Dan Burn, and at first glance, it looks really bad. Like, he leaves his feet, it looks like his studs are up, and he catches him in his shin. What actually happens is that he catches him with his trailing left foot, and he trips it. He clips his left leg with his foot that is landed and is on the ground, and he like undercuts him. It's not like studs up. It's not on the ankle. It's on his foot, which is why it was a yellow. After that, there was a massive circling around the referee where they kind of got in his face, and they said they were asking for red cards, which is why they were carded. You're allowed to ask. You're not allowed to ask for a card. You are allowed to ask why a decision was made, and that's going to be relevant, I think, later on. Because I don't know for sure what Arsenal was saying later on when we get to the VAR stuff, but they didn't get carded at all, so I can only assume they weren't asking for a card because, I mean, there's nothing to card. And that's why Newcastle got 3 cards for a Kai Havertz challenge that I initially thought was going to be a red. Then 8 minutes later, Bruno Guimaraes loses his mind. That's the only way to put it. He loses his mind. He gets tackled. The ball moves to Jorginho. and I see on the replay, you can't see it live on the TV or what they were showing. You can't see it. But when you watch the replay, you see Bruno make up his mind about 3 seconds before he does it. He raises his left arm like this and just runs into the back of Jorginho's head full speed, like makes a motion, like an outward motion like this. That is excessive. That's violent conduct in the clearest letter of the law. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go through it right. I don't know if I can go through it right now off the top of my memory. I'm going to try. Any forcible contact to the head, neck area of a player
Yep.
with an arm, like this forcible contact that has excessive force, is deemed violent conduct and is an automatic sending off. That is the law, I believe. I could be slightly wrong about the verbiage, but it's pretty darn close to that.
It's like that. Yeah. It's something along the lines of that. Yeah.
And I don't know how he doesn't get sent off there. Like, I just don't. Like, it's another call that I feel is just so obvious. Like, it sucks for me as an Arsenal fan because it goes against Arsenal. But I just don't understand how, as a referee, you miss that. Like, here's what I think. I myself am a licensed referee. I have on my phone the IFAB laws of the game, which is the British laws. It's the same rules that the EPL uses. I'm told to read these every so often. I do, just to make sure I'm updated on new rules, to make sure I'm understanding things properly. Like, that's a very basic part. Violent conduct has not changed. It does not change on a year by year basis. It's not something that you should have to review. It's something that after you start reffing and you're reffing at the highest level is ingrained in you. Like, I don't understand. Anyone can see that and say it should be a red card. And I don't blame the referee for missing it. It was late. They were transitioning, right? You missed it.
Yeah.
Okay. But it goes to VAR, and VAR says, no, that's fine. Not even no, you should take a look at it. Not even no, we think that's a yellow card offense. Give him a yellow card. Just no, like nothing, it's fine. And I don't understand how you can watch that and think that. And the VAR check looked that it was very quick. And, I know Arsenal are going to get an apology tomorrow. I don't give a shit. I don't want an apology. I want him to be sent off, and I want anyone who does that in the future to be sent off, because that is not a soccer play. That is violent conduct. It's not acceptable behavior. And if I saw an Arsenal player do that and we ended up winning, guess what? I'll be happy, but I'll be really upset that my player did that, and I won't feel guilty, but I won't necessarily. Okay, I'll probably feel a little guilty, but I won't I'll be really upset at my player because he is so lucky he's on the pitch, and he's so lucky he's not suspended for the next 3 games, and he's a really important player, and it's just horrible. It's horrible refereeing, and just so many things that were bad. And we'll go to the second half now. In like the 49th minute, Gabriel Magalhaes makes a tackle on Callum Wilson. He wins the ball. He plays the ball away. They both fall on the ground. Callum Wilson grabs Gabriel by the head on the ground, pushes his face on the ground, pushes his face away, and the AR is right next to him and does nothing. I'm not saying that should be a red card because I'd have to see another version of that to say it's a red card. But that's at least a yellow. You can't do that. Like, you just can't do that at all. And the AR's right there, doesn't recommend a card at all. And they just get on with it like nothing's happened. Like, the ref lost the plot of the game. He lost the plot. He lost control of the game. And the AR made a bad decision there and not telling the ref what happened. That's the AR's job, because the ref was following the play. The AR's job is to tell the head ref, hey, this just happened. Come back, talk to me, and we'll discuss. They never did that. And I don't understand how. That's something that I have done since I was 16 years old. I don't understand how these high-level referees can't do that basic thing. It just doesn't make sense. And then the VAR thing, listen, there's 3 VAR checks. There's an out of bounds, there's a foul, and there's an offside. Now, people are going to say what they want about all 3. The ball's clearly out of bounds. There's angles of it. The ball's clearly out. It's either in or it's out, and the ball's out. They said there's nothing conclusive. Fine. You don't have an angle on it. Fine. I don't understand how you don't have a good angle on a touch line, on a goal line. I don't understand how you don't in Newcastle Stadium. They've been in the Premier League for a long time. They've won the league. They should have that technology. They're owned by Saudi Arabia. Like they have oil money. Maybe it's Qatar. I don't know. They're owned by oil money. They should have a goal line technology that goes along the whole line that can easily see the ball. That should be a minimum requirement of the Premier League, biggest league in the world. If you want, it's clearly out, but if you can't tell, fine. Second thing, it's a push in the back. 9 times out of 10, no, 99 times out of 100, a push in the back like that is called a foul anywhere on the pitch.
True.
Does he push him in the back and does Gabriel make a little bit of a meal out of it? Yes, but that's because 99 times out of 100, it's called a foul. This is the one time where it's not called a foul, and I don't understand why. Like, listen, if he puts his arm into him like this, and that's it, he doesn't move his arm, that's not a foul. He puts his 2 hands in his back and extends. That's a textbook foul. And I don't understand how VAR can say it's fine. I just don't. Like, the referee on the field doesn't have to overturn his decision. But VAR has to tell him to look at the monitor again. So much happened on that play. There was potential out of bounds. There was a push in the back. There was potential offsides. Tell the head ref to look at it again. He's on the field. He's going to have to live with whatever decision VAR makes. Tell him to look at it again. Now, the offsides, in my opinion, he's not offsides. So when the ball, Callum Wilson touches the ball first. Anthony Gordon is behind the ball when Callum Wilson touches it, which means he's not offside. It was a deflection by Gabriel. It wasn't an intentional play. So that could be, if he's offsides when Wilson touches the ball, then he's offsides. There was, like Gabriel didn't intentionally play the ball to the middle of the field. But if you stop it when Callum Wilson actually touches the ball, it doesn't matter if people are saying, Anthony Gordon's behind Rhea, which means he's offside. No, he's behind the ball, so he's onside. So that one I understood. But the other ones, the offside one or the out of bounds one, I can kind of understand if you say you can't see it, even though I saved a photo on my phone just because I couldn't believe it. That clearly shows the ball is out. Maybe we can overlay it if we don't, but it's just, and then you've got the push in the back, which is just so obvious. And Arsenal didn't deserve to win the game. They didn't. But I feel aggrieved that we didn't get an obvious red card now for 2 times in 3 weeks. Keep in mind the Man City game, we won that game. City should have had a player sent off. That's 2 times in 3 EPL match weeks now where we haven't got an obvious decision, and we paid the price in one of them. 45 minutes of a man up. You're saying that we couldn't score a goal? I don't know. I don't think Newcastle would have scored. I can tell you that for almost 100%. I'm confident Newcastle wouldn't have scored. They shouldn't have scored their only goal anyways. It was a crap goal, and it shouldn't have stood. So yeah, I know I've talked for a long time now, and disagree with me in the comments. Tell us what you think in the comments. If what I'm saying makes sense, if you disagree with me, we'd love to hear it. We want to. It's my opinion, right? But it's not facts. Just tell us what you think. We'd love to hear it. We'd love to get your comments down below.
Yeah, after even looking at all the tackles that happened in that game, some of them were I don't know how they were just not even one red card. Just some of the tackles, I was like, wow, not even one.
Yeah, and if you want to argue that Kai Havertz should have got a red card in that game, I can't even really argue against it because I fervently believe the first tackle was a yellow card. But there was another challenge he made in the middle of the park where I just thought, you are a dumb idiot for making that challenge. It was very similar to Jota's challenge for Wolves against Wolves. Very similar. Maybe it wasn't against Wolves. I don't remember. I think it was against Wolves.
All around, honestly.
And he got lucky because it didn't get called a yellow card, but it could have. He got the ball first and then the man, I think. I'm not certain of it though, but I saw a few other challenges where they got the ball first, they clattered the man and was given a foul and a yellow card. Kai Havertz was given a foul, but not a second yellow card. So I think he was lucky to stay on the pitch, and You talked about multiple players should have had red cards. I don't necessarily know if Kai Havertz should have got a red card, but it'd be hard for me to argue if you said he deserved a red card. It'd be hard for me to argue no, he doesn't.
True. All right, let's lighten things up a little bit.
Yeah.
And why don't you talk about the Bundesliga a little bit?
Yeah. So it was a big week in the Bundesliga. We got some teams pulling away at the top. It was a big game. Bayer Leverkusen and Hoffenheim. At Hoffenheim, Leverkusen with a big 3-2 win. Alex Grimaldo coming up clutch for them. He's a player they got for free. I believe, from Sporting, I think, in the transfer window. I know it was the Portuguese side. It might be Benfica, but it was one of the two.
It was
Benfica. Yeah, they got him for free, and he scores 2 goals in a big away match that sees them stay atop the table. What are they? 2 points ahead? They're either 1 or 2 points ahead of Bayern Munich, who we'll get to in a little bit. But that was a big win for them. Hoffenheim is challenging for European game, so big win. Stuttgart, man, they started out hot. We wondered if they could keep it up. They're probably not going to. We're not really shocked by that. 2-0 win, 2-0 loss away from home against a bottom tier side. We'll see if they can stay in European challenger, but probably not. I expect them to fall away. Mainz, big 2-0 win at home against RB Leipzig. Mainz, bottom of the table. Negative 15 goal differential coming into this game. 3 points. Away win with 2 late shocking goals to beat RB Leipzig, who we talked glowingly about last week. Disappointing from them. Just disappointing performance. Mainz is not a good team. They're just simply not a good side, and not a good loss for Leipzig. All right, we've got 2 more games quickly. Frankfurt, Union Berlin. The reason why we're talking about it is because Union Berlin made the Champions League last year. They currently sit 16th in the table, last in their Champions League group, only in 16th, which is the relegation playoff spot on goal differential. This is their first time in the Champions League. Last year they were good in Europa League, but they're not a big side, and if seeing them relegated eventually wouldn't be a shock, but seeing them relegated so soon would be. Let's see how they do this year. Now the big game, the one that I thought was going to be a better game, their Klassiker. I hope I pronounced that right. I probably butchered it. But Dortmund, Bayern Munich. Man, what a sad game. What a sad game.
Yeah.
Dortmund 0.
Not much from Dortmund.
Dortmund 0, Bayern 4. And it wasn't a game at all. It was never a game. Bayern scored 2 within 10 minutes. They scored 1 in the 4th minute off of a great Leroy Sané cross into, I think, an Upamecano goal. Just they got ripped apart, man. And Bayern had a goal that got disallowed as well. Like, they put 5 in the net. And Dortmund had, I think, one half decent chance the entire game. Bayern had a chance that went in the net that got disallowed. It just, I think I said it last time. Dortmund to me just can't compete, and this proves it. I think Bayern's really strong. Bayern's really, really good. But well done to Bayern. They're always good, but well done to Bayern.
Yeah, all right. So let's head to the La Liga now. So yeah, a couple of games from La Liga. We had Real Madrid versus Rayo Vallecano. I think I said that right.
Vallecano.
0-0. I just thought Real Madrid should have won the game. They had a lot of missed chances. Throughout the entire game, they had 22 shots, 5 of them on target, 64% of possession, and I just thought it was a lot of missed opportunities from Real Madrid, especially with the talent that they have and the players that they have, and not coming away with any points is kind of disappointing, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel about that.
Were they at home for that game?
I think they were. No, they were away. So yeah. You can double check me on that.
No, they were at home. They were at the Bernabeu. They were home. Yeah. And now they'll draw at home. Yeah.
Against I think Real Vallecano is like middle of the table ish, maybe like 8th, something like that. I'm not positive, but
Yeah, they're ninth, but
yeah,
they're like at best their best outcome is like is a conference spot.
yeah. And then next game I'll talk about real quick is um Girona versus Asusuna. I don't know if I said that right either. But
Yeah.
yeah, Girona only had 4 shots on target and they had 4 goals. So they're really clinical, obviously. Maybe seeing a couple more shots on target too. But Girona was also down 2-1 after, and yeah, but then after the 55th minute, Girona scored. Yeah, so they're down 2-1 after the 55th minute, and then they scored 3 goals within 19 minutes at the end of the match. And then Girona also moved to the top of the league with that win, I think at 31 points. But yeah, so we talked about Girona last week as I was a little confused on who they were, but they obviously are. They have their competition in the league, honestly, I think, for top 5, and I think they're proving it now just by being behind at these games, but bouncing back, coming to win it. Then we're gonna talk about Barcelona versus Real Sociedad. So Barcelona won it 1-0. In my opinion, Real Sociedad looked like the better team throughout the entire 90 minutes. And they had better chances created and a lot more. Yeah, I thought they played better. Barcelona looked a little weak, in my opinion. They didn't step into challenges. They were open at the back. It's just not a good performance, in my opinion, from Barcelona. But then a nice chip from Gundogan and a beautifully timed run by Araujo scored the goal to seal the win for Barcelona, which was a much needed win, in my opinion. And yeah, until that last 5 minutes of the game, I thought Real Sociedad looked much better team than Barcelona. I don't know if you watched that one, but yeah, that's what I thought about that.
I didn't get to watch that one.
It was a good match. I definitely thought Real Sociedad would have had at least 1 goal, but they walked away with nothing. All right, and then the last game we'll talk about is Real Betis 2, and then Mallorca 0. So William Jose and Iosi Perez scored the 2 goals for Betis, and I just brought up Betis as well because Betis is hoping to strengthen their midfield with Johnny Cardoso, hopefully coming in January transfer to Betis, making the midfield stronger. And I mean, as well, Betis only had 54% possession, so maybe having a possession midfielder that I think Cardoso is and will help them play a little bit better and help them push for that top 5 as well, because I think that they do have a chance with that.
Yeah, we'll see how much playtime he gets, but Johnny Cardoso is an American. Obviously, we talked about him last week. We have very high hopes for him. Half a year, getting a move in January and playing in a top 5 race is tough. He's I think 20. He's still a young player. I don't know how much game time he will get, but we have very high hopes for him. And Tyler Adams played at RB. I think he played at RB Leipzig, and he got a lot of action there. And RB Leipzig and the Bundesliga is very good. So hopefully he can play some decent minutes and he does well.
Yeah, you want to quick talk about League One?
Yeah. Let's move to League One now. It was kind of not a whole lot to talk about, honestly, this week. The 2 teams at the top, PSG and Nice, won. They both won. PSG 3-0 at home against Montpellier, just dominant. 10 shots on goal, 71% possession, easy win. Nice a little bit tougher at home against Reims. They won 2-0. They got a goal later in the game to seal it away. I think it was an 87th minute own goal that helped them out, but they got one early and held their lead fairly well. They did have a red card though, which put it in jeopardy for a little bit until Reims got their own red card, which kind of helped them seal the deal. Lyon versus Metz. We're gonna keep bringing up Lyon as long as it's relevant. I mean, at home against a team in 16th, best you can manage is 1 point. They're 18th in the league. They're 6 points behind Mets, the team they just played for. That's to get into the relegation playoff spot, and they only have one. They have a game in hand. It's just, listen, you got to get a point and get some positive energy in the club. But Ajax won the other day, and that put them. I think that actually helps them because 3 points is just so important when you're down there. And getting a draw at home to a team which is not good, they're just not good. It's really worrying. It's really worrying. The Ligue 1, there's 18 teams, so it's a 34 match week season. They're pretty much a third of the way through it, and they've got 4 points.
Yeah.
Worrying.
Kind of worrisome. Yeah.
Yeah. Last one to talk about: Nas versus Red. Versus Ross. I've worked on my French pronunciation a little bit. There was Florian Balogun was an Arsenal striker last year who played for us, which is why I know them, and I worked on my pronunciation a little bit, even though it's not perfect. They're doing really well. There was a big deal out of who the manager was, Will Still, because he was a guy who learned how to coach off of Football Manager. And there was a lot of stories about him last year. He did really well for Ross. They were, I think, top half for the first time in a long time. And, they lost Balogun, who was, I think, 5th or 6th in the league in goals. And, how are they going to replace him? What are they going to do? Well, they've just decided, okay, let's spread the goals around. Their highest goal scorer right now has 4 goals through 11 games, which isn't crazy, but it's a midfielder who's like a winger. And he's actually a Maltan international. I don't even know if that's Malta. Is it Maltan? I don't even know if it's Malta or Maltese, but
Yeah.
He's an international player for Malta, and he's got 4 goals for them in Ligue 1, which is crazy, So, well, still doing an excellent job there. They've got a big game next week against PSG. Ross is in fourth now. PSG's in second. 4 points separate them. Well, I felt very confident that PSG could run away with it, and I think PSG. We'll get into it. We'll probably get into that game later, but just an interesting game. Interesting game to keep in mind.
Yeah, really interesting stuff happening in Ligue 1 right now. And yeah, so I'll take over for the Serie A for a little bit. We had Fiorentina versus Juventus. It was a very important win for Juventus as they want to increase their odds of winning the league. But yeah, they had, I thought, an overall pretty good game. And they just were able to hold their lead pretty much the entire game. I watched half of the game. I didn't really watch the whole thing. So is there anything else you want to add, Tilly, to that one, or is that pretty much the main things about that one?
I mean, they got their lead and they held it and they did fine, but I would like to see them create some more chances. I mean, the goal they scored was kind of off the bat. It wasn't off of super creative play.
Yeah, for sure.
And a win against a good team. Good result.
Yeah. Inter Milan 1-2 to Atalanta, and it was a really close game as well. There's a goalkeeping error done in the 30th minute. Where he just tumbled over the guy. It's kind of funny. But yeah, causing a goal for Inter, and then second goal was amazing as well from Lautaro Martinez. It was an amazing goal, I thought. And then Mkhitaryan still kicking it, and he scores. Come back and try to get back in the game, but they could not. And so Milan extends their league in first right now, keeping that position, which I think they'll maybe walk away with it. We don't know yet. And then AC Milan versus Udinese.
Udinese.
Yes, I said that. They've been playing really well. Udinese has been playing really well for the last 5 games. And they climbed out of relegation. Milan they don't really look that comfortable right now, in my opinion. They're really on and off. And they kind of showed it again in this match where they did not create that many chances. But yeah, they lost out on it because of that they weren't able to create and try to get some points back. And then Roma played. Who did Roma play? Lecce.
Lecce. They played Lecce.
Lecce. But yeah, Lukaku scored a 95th minute stoppage goal, which was really nice. And after he missed a penalty in the 5th minute, so like 0 to hero. We love a good comeback story for real, and Lukaku is showing that right now for Roma. Yeah. Anything else you want to add for Serie A?
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting games this week. Udinese upsetting Milan at home. Like Milan was at home for that game. That's a crazy result. It's we talked. I think in another one of our videos we talk about the Serie A title, and there's a gap forming at the top. Wadz over here has a little bit of a surprise if he's got Napoli coming out of nowhere and taking it, but Juventus and Inter Milan are chilling at the top right now, and they're doing well, and we'll see what happens. Good stuff going on in Serie A.
Yeah, definitely some good stuff going on in Serie A. Speaking of which, just some quick shout outs to, some players that we're looking at. So PSV dominated Heracles.
Heracles.
What?
Heracles.
There we go. My pronunciation guy here. PSV dominated Say one more time for us. Heracles 6-0 with goals coming from the Americans, Malik Tillman and Ricardo Pepi. So both of them showing out right now. And then again we said this before, but Johnny Cardoso confirmed move to Real Betis. Unknown amount of money. We don't know. But that's good for Johnny. Round of applause for Johnny. And then Kevin Paredes, I heard about this as well. Talented winger from Wolfsburg scores in a 2-2 draw in the same game as his first start of the year. That's amazing to see. Players when they come back from whatever injury or if they're gone for a bit, they score. It's always wonderful. It's always good. But yeah. So yeah, last week we made some predictions. And we're gonna review how those predictions went. So, and then we'll talk about how the scoring system is gonna go for future predictions. So last week we had 3 games. They're all in the Prem. And the games were Fulham versus Man U, which I predicted a 2-1 Man U victory, and Tilly predicted a 1-1 draw. So I was right on that prediction. So the score is going to work where I get a point because I got the winner right. I didn't get the scoreline right. If you get the scoreline right, you get 3 points. If you get who wins right, you get 1 point. If you get neither, you don't get a point, obviously. But yeah. And then so we had the Fulham Man U game, like I said, which I got a point for that. Arsenal versus Newcastle, we both predicted Arsenal to win. But as we know, that's it. Unfortunately, it did not happen, so no points either. And then Brentford versus West Ham. I said 2-0 until he said 2-1 Brentford. We both said Brentford. But it was, in the end, it was 3-2, so we don't get the 3. But in the end, the final score was cjwadz on 2 and Tilly on 1. So going into this week, we have 3 more games for us to talk about. And the first game is going to be... Can my pronunciation guy help me out again?
Yeah, it's going to be Rons. Yeah, Rons against a team which I feel confident you pronounce the second team.
Rons versus PSG. So, Tills, what do you think? What do you think it's going to be?
I think it's going to be a 3-1 PSG win.
3-1 PSG. Nice. For me, I'm going to say it's going to be a little closer. I do think PSG is going to win just because they are that dominant. But I'm going to say 1-0. 1-0 PSG. All right. Now we're gonna move back to the Eredivisie, where we got Feyenoord versus AZ Alkmaar.
Love the pronunciation. Love the pronunciation.
Let's go. That's what I strive for in life now. So I'll go first on this one. I'm gonna say a 2-2 draw, honestly. That's what we're going with, a 2-2 draw.
I don't know. I have to check one thing. I don't know if AZ Alkmaar is in Europe this year, but
I thought they were.
They are. Yeah, they're in the same group as Aston Villa. I think. What? I just said I think 3 times, and I don't even know. I believe that AZ Alkmaar will pull off the away win, and they're going to win 2-1.
Nice. All right, and then the final game is going to be Lazio versus Roma. Hills, what do you think it's going to be?
I think that it will be a 0-0 draw. Boring game.
Thrilling 0-0 draw. I love a 0-0 draw. Such great football. But I'm going to go with a 2-0 to Roma. I think away from home.
Gotta go with
Lukaku going off of his amazing 95th minute goal will bring you this energy, and he's going to score a brace.
Listen, if they win 2-0 and Lukaku scores a brace, I'll give you an extra point for that.
Yes, come on, Lukaku. I need that point. I'm winning. I need that point.
Yeah, so I think Wadz explained the point setup, right? 3 points if you get the exact scoreline right, 1 if you get the result right, 0 if you get it all wrong. Let us know if you think that's a good point scoring system. Let us know if you think we should change it. Score right now is Wadz 2, Tilly 1. I got to work on that. Hopefully it improves this week.
With your predictions, if you're going to get any points.
Yeah, but it can turn around in 1 week. You get 3 scores right, all of a sudden, big lead, right?
Really big lead on it. But yeah. I think that's all that we have for today's episode. Also, we're going to be releasing some shorts episodes that we worked on today as well. So if you were like, why are they wearing the same stuff? Did it in the same day, smart, thinking ahead. But yeah, check those out. They'll be released sometime throughout this week, probably after this video, honestly. And yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like, subscribe, comment.
Hit that bell. Make sure to comment. We got a lot of stuff for you to comment on today.
Yeah, comment whatever you want, honestly. Just say what's ever on your mind. Just say it. All right.
Reason. We'd love to hear. You got a hot take? You got a hot take to share with us that isn't related to this video? We'd love to hear it. We'll talk about it with you.
Do some of your hot takes as well. All right, you guys take care and peace.